Thank you very much, Lord Provost. On Saturday, I ran my first park run. I thought it was good to see consensus breaking out, Lord Provost, already. I thought it was a good idea. I didn't think it was such a good idea as I was halfway round, puffing and panting and maybe cursing as well. Yet, in doing that run, I spent half of my time cursing. But as you'll know, Lord Provost, yourself, as a much better runner than my good self, halfway through you get that clarity, you get that runner's high. So on my Saturday, I was thinking about yourself, Lord Provost, and this budget. And in that clarity, thinking about what I would think about and speak about today in this budget. And Lord Provost, in that clarity, I think we need a change within this council. We need a change in terms of our thinking. And therefore, when I saw Councillor McClellan in the Press and Journal saying that this was going to be business as usual, that was regrettable. He started his speech by listing all the woes of Aberdeen, all the struggles that we face as a city, yet it is still business as usual for him. That is not what we need for this city, Lord Provost. We need perhaps some of that clarity. We perhaps need to walk up the street and look at the graffiti next to the old DWP building, which talks about a revolution. That's what we need here. We need a revolution in terms of thinking. We need a revolution in terms of delivery. And we need a revolution for our city.
Very good.
So, Lord Provost, I would like to focus on the time that I have on the substance of our budget. We've heard about a 7% increase from the administration, obviously putting the pinch on our hard-working taxpayers. We've gone for a lower 3.5% increase. The reality is that we do need to increase council tax because of the funding that we have, and we would love to see the Scottish Government giving us the funding that we deserve, consistently underfunded per head compared to Glasgow and other regions in the Central Belt. It was also, I think, surprising, Lord Provost, to see a common good budget this year where we weren't inviting applications from community groups. It may well be said that we have the benefit of being able to allocate funding to community groups within the budgets. Yet that lacks the rigour that we have with the common good proposals and the checks and balances and the scorecard that officers have for us. And I think that will be regrettable to other community groups who rely on that funding. What we have now seen is core funding moved over to the common good in a way which never was before. That is important funding. I know my constituents who use Duthie Park and use our green spaces are glad of how well kept it is. The winter gardens, you never see anything out of place in there. It is so well looked after and was a great place for people in the dreich weather that we had in the beginning. Yet for many community groups, this withdrawal of the application for common good will be complained about. Turning to the voids that we have, we obviously are losing £8 million a year in terms of revenue, and when we talk about council tax, if we don't increase it, we lose the build-up of that council tax in terms of income. But again, we're not really talking about the loss in terms of income over a period of time for our housing stock, and we obviously need that to reinvest money in. And that's why I'm delighted, and I hope my constituents will be pleased that we're focusing on seeing what more. It's a small measure, yet it is important to see what more we can do in terms of trying to reduce those voids with a targeted officer to do it. Because I know that in my own ward of Torry Ferry Hill, there's properties which have sat empty for months and months, and it does not help in the perception of the council and the perception that people have in terms of the housing. Turning to our city centre, we're obviously seeing the Union Street works continuing. Not what we wanted. We voted for full pedestrianisation, which I think would have given a link between the Art Gallery, Union Terrace, and down to the New Flint Market, a beautiful path for people to come down and explore all our wonders on Aberdeen. Yet we are where we are, as people say, Lord Provost. And within that, we believe that we should be reprioritising the feeling that I think many people have of antisocial behaviour within our city, lower level antisocial behaviour, which again impacts the quality of life that people have. And certainly for older people, they might not feel as safe as they perhaps once did out and about in our great city. Therefore, we want to work with Police Scotland and try and put more money back into that. And again, when these people are coming out, when the Flint market is open, they won't have to suffer the bus gates in that, and we have taken a strong position, including my friend Councillor Brooks, in this regard. And tying that all in this package is the offer of the payday weekend, free parking within our city centre, another part of that overall package to support the city centre and to help people come back in and to spend their hard-earned money to support these local businesses which drive our economy forward. And as Councillor Brooks has outlined, you know, we of course have constituents. I struggle to get out of my road and onto the main road when there is bad snow. So there is definitely a wish to see targeted investment into that. So we're allocating an additional £1 million. I think we're only seeing £200,000 from the administration. So we are prioritising that more to deliver for people and to represent the concerns that many have. And this has been kind of noted, I think, by other members in terms of the impact that this bad weather has on our city and the roads. There are certainly more potholes than there were before, and the council teams have been helpful in going around to target these. I know from my ward and Councillor Allard and Councillor Watson and Councillor Fairfield's ward in terms of that, and that has been of assistance. Yet there is still streets which need that maintenance, and we are allocating a further 1.25 million or thereabouts into the budget to help deal with that perennial complaint about potholes and the concerns that people have in relation to their roads. In terms of the Central Library, you know, the elevator has been out of action for nearly 6 months, which is not really acceptable, and I've certainly asked questions about it because, you know, if you want to go to the Children's Library and you're an adult with 2 kids and you want to go to the adults' library first, you need to go down the stairs, go back out the building, go into the other door, go up the stairs, which is fine if you've not got any children with you, but if you've got one child in a pushchair and another toddler child, it's not easy. It's also not that safe clambering up all those stairs with children and their struggles to get out of your arms and to run around. So I think we need to be prioritising that, Lord Provost, because what we have at the moment is a central library which is not actually accessible as it should be and hasn't been accessible for nearly 6 months. So that needs to be prioritised, as well as, I would say, looking at the future of the library, how we utilise that space. We have seen investments in terms of the doors, so they're not manual doors anymore, which is easing accessibility, but there is broader scope, I think, for looking at where we are, especially in terms of the Children's Library, the space there, how it can be better utilised. And I'm also delighted to see investment in the Granite City Marathon, Lord Provost, because I've begun this journey of the park run, and God willing, when this marathon comes to the city, I will be able to join colleagues from across the chamber in participating, just as my friend Councillor MacLeod did in previous years when we already had this marathon. So we do have experience of doing this marathon. It's not a motor rally which is not going to be in the city, which is going to be out in the woods of Aberdeenshire and Moray, however exciting that may be. It's an opportunity for people to come together in the city, just as the tall ships were. So, Lord Provost, I move and second this budget with my colleague, Councillor Brooks, on behalf of the Scottish Conservative Group, and I think it's got options both to balance the books, but also options to assist our citizens and do extra additional things which they are looking for. Thank you, Lord Provost.
Thank you.